Hello, everyone. I would like to make a recap on the first session of marketing. And so I understand that you may have done or done nothing about marketing. And so the objective here is for you to understand the importance of marketing in business. You will be working for a real client. For this reason, you will have to be creative. You will have to find something that is improving their business. So you have to be disruptive. And you're going to have to be efficient with resources because a lot of time these clients don't have a lot of resources. So you would have to work with what they have, which, as you will find out, is not as much as you wish they had. And you would have to be realistic, which is it will have to be possible for them to complete the recommendation that you are offering. So what would you do? You will come to class. This will give you participation points. You will have different mini quizzes. There's a number of assignments. And what's very important is your group assignments, which is helping this business by giving recommendations. I really recommend that you spend some time on the syllabus, on Canvas, looking at the modules which are already published. There is a number of words that you will learn in order to be able to talk about marketing. So there's specific words that belong to marketing, and you have to understand what they mean. Segmentation, perception map, a strategy, the market-driven versus marketing-driven. All of these things don't make much sense maybe today, but eventually they will. So what is consulting? What is a business? What's accounting? What's marketing? You have to understand all the different functions within the business in order to understand the function of marketing. So we will review all of these functions and make sure that you understand. So for example, consulting is making business recommendation. What's a business? It's something that has a number of people that are working on some projects in order to complete some objectives. And they're working in order to be making some money, in order to keep the business growing and being self-sustained. It doesn't have to be a non-profit. It doesn't have to be a for-profit. You always have to make some money in order to keep your business going. So if you have a business and you don't make any money, therefore the question is this really a business? Accounting is really looking at the numbers, at the money that comes in, the money that comes out, and making sure that you have enough money in order to cover what you are spending. Marketing is understanding the customers. Production is focusing on the product that you're trying to make and being efficient at making it. Financing is understanding the importance of money and the money you have now and the money that you need in the future. What is the law? The law are the rules that you need to know in order to be within what's recommendable and being with a low liability and not getting yourself in trouble. Innovation is required because you have to constantly come up with new things in order to be disruptive. And what's management? Management is organizing all of this. So is marketing important? Yes, it is important because marketing is really connecting directly with customers. So if you have no customers, you don't have a business. The customer is the most important thing, and marketing is dealing directly with the most important thing, which is the customer, which will give you money so your business can stay in business and keep growing, and you can keep investing this money in order to get more customers and get more business and get more profit and reinvest all of this in order to be sustainable and try to be the best as you can for the benefit of the satisfaction of the customers. What is the scope of marketing? So marketing is about creating products. Marketing is about creating images. Marketing has a very wide scope because if you're in social media, you're in marketing. If you're in sales, you're in marketing. If you are in pricing, you're in marketing. If you are in logistics and distribution, you're in marketing. If you are in advertising, you're in marketing. If you are someone that worry about the elements of satisfaction, you're in marketing. If you're in services, you're in marketing. So marketing is very wide. What are the core marketing concepts? So the core marketing concepts, you could say they are what we call the 4 Ps: product, price, promotion, and place. The marketing concept is give the people what they want, make sure that you satisfy them, develop a relationship with them so that way they keep coming back because they trust you. What forces are defining the new marketing realities? So there's many forces. The most important, I suppose, is this concept of technology and the fact that people are buying by themselves. They don't have to buy in the store. They're looking for information. They're getting information from people they don't know. The fact that they are using apps in order to buy. The fact that eventually they will be using AI in order to buy. All points of technology are really influencing marketing, and marketing is influencing the use of this technology. what new capabilities have these forces given consumers and companies? So they are making it more difficult for the companies to be successful because the consumers are more independent. And the capabilities also is that the consumers don't need as much retail services given by people as much as before. So it's more automated, it's more online, and it's more through some digital media. What does a holistic marketing philosophy include? Well, the holistic concept is that you have to think about the internal marketing, the external marketing, all the factors that are required, such as that you need to understand that you have competitors and that you have customers, and understand how all of these people are working with one another, and they have to also keep being innovative. Otherwise, they don't care about you. What tasks are necessary for successful marketing management? So the task here is really to do some research, the task of collecting information, using this information to make better decisions, making product, assessing the quality of the product in the eyes of the customers, making some changes on these products, understanding the distribution network, understanding the prices, understanding your competitors, and constantly being very much focused on the research and improving with the research. Is marketing necessary for businesses? Well, you could run a business without doing marketing, but there's very few businesses that do that, and there's none successful businesses that are successful without doing marketing. Could you be successful without being good at marketing? You could, but the majority of successful business, their number one competency is marketing. Marketing is not just about making money, but marketing is about understanding customers and giving customers what they want. Your business is successful 90% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, because you are successful in satisfying people's needs, so they keep coming back. Satisfying people's needs doesn't mean you satisfy what should be the way you satisfy them, but the way that they want to be satisfied. So there's a difference between the perception of an engineer and the perception of a customer. The engineer may not be seeing what the customers want, but the customers know what they want because that's what they buy. Who uses marketing? So every business uses marketing. Even the government is using marketing. Even religions are using marketing. What would you use it for? Well, you will use it for in order to be more famous. You will use it for in order to sell your product for more customers, maybe to increase the price that you're selling it to, maybe to increase the number of products in order to reduce the cost of these products, to be better than the competitors, maybe to enter a market that you've never been, maybe to introduce a product that you've never sold. So what is marketing? Marketing, like I said many times, is about the customers. But what is it? It's about the delivery of customer satisfaction at a profit and long term. So the idea is that there is components of logistics, which is the delivery. There's a component of satisfaction, which is what the customer wants. There's a component of profit. So you always want to have some level of profit in order to reinvest it inside the business. And it's long term. What does that mean? That means you're not trying to take advantage of the customer one time each time, but you're trying to build this relationship for the customers to keep coming back. They keep coming back. You're not abusing them. They trust you and they engage in this relationship. All of this may sound like a good thing and maybe unrealistic, because you will imagine that some businesses that they want to be successful just at one time. But the problem is, if you do this, you get very successful for a short time, but you don't have continuity. So you'd say, well, but then I sell the business, pass it to someone else, and these people then will discover that there was a flow. It's true, but if you want to have a sustainable growth, is you want to have long-term orientation, and you want to have this relationship with the customers where your main focus is to satisfy them, not take advantage of them. So that's what this is all about. And this is sort of the most profound and philosophical sentence that you need to really understand, because all of the words in this sentence make much sense. The value of marketing depends on oftentimes the financial success. Did I sell, not sell? The more you sell, the more one may imagine that you're good at marketing. Marketing really helps get customers. So customers come, customers buys, you make a lot of people work, so therefore you're creating wealth, you're creating jobs. People that are good at marketing are very much leading a community of success. Marketing builds strong brands and a loyal customer base. Well, the idea is that the people keep coming back and they keep trusting the brand. And eventually, every time the brand launches something new, they get customers that buy this new product because they trust the brand. So marketing is good because it creates, it facilitates selling new products, because the brand is what people are buying, trusting the quality that should come with the product. But all of this is because marketing builds the brand, marketing builds the quality of the product, builds the relationship, builds the reputation, and eventually builds the business that requires less marketing. So that's what's very interesting. The more marketing you do, the more you will get your business to grow. But at the end, you want to do less and less marketing as you want the people to become the people who do the marketing for you. Marketing is about identifying and meeting human and social needs. So it's true, what you do is you have an impact on the society. And so you're making supposedly a better society because you're trying to not just satisfy their needs, but you're trying to make them happier in their society because they are discovering that they are happier and feels better. And eventually the marketing is serving a sort of a societal need, not just the need of the person becoming richer because they're selling more stuff. So the American Marketing Association says marketing is the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society as a large. So the big idea is you don't want to use marketing to get rich. You want to use marketing because that's your opportunity to use something that is extremely powerful in order to lead your community, to lead your country, to lead your state, to lead your fans towards something that you think is better for them. So this is your way of expressing yourself by using marketing to get people to be with you. Marketing management is therefore this art of identifying a customer, which is called a target, then getting them, keeping them, growing these customers. And then again, I said it just before, is you creating, delivering, and communicating superior value to these people. What is marketed? So you can obviously market something like a good. So you market a car, you can market bottled water, you can market all kinds of things, but you also market services. So you market a concert, you market a hairdresser, you market a university, you can market also events such as the Olympic Games, you can market experiences such as going on a vacation. You can also market people such as musicians and singers and bands and so forth. What is marketed again further is you can market real estate. So places, properties, you can market going to, I said a university, but specifically maybe the Navy. You could market information, IDs, don't drink and drive. All of these can be marketed. So marketing can be used in an organization for marketing multiple things of the organization, but also many different things. Even you could market yourself. And that's oftentimes the first thing I think you should be marketing. Who to market? The market is someone who seeks a response, attention, a purchase, a vote, a donation from another party called the prospect. So you're looking for selling something, people may not be buying, so you're looking at who is likely to buy, and you call them prospects, and then you call them leads, and eventually you call them buyers and clients because they keep buying. Advocates, fans, all of these are the people that you may want to market. Marketing has evolved from being one of the functions inside the business. There was production, finance, human resources management, and marketing. And eventually, marketing became bigger because it was the one directly related to sales. The people that make the most money are the salespeople. And when you're a salesperson, you make more money because you have a direct impact on the business. And so marketing was very much in favor in growing as a function because of their direct relationship with the customers and the sales. Eventually, marketing became so powerful that it became the center of the business, the most important in weight and in view. And eventually they said, no, the center of the business is not the marketer. The marketer they've been telling us that the most important are the customers. And so we put the customers in the middle and everyone is satisfying the satisfaction of this customer, not just the marketing, but everyone who's working for the quality of the product, the quality of the relationship. Eventually, marketing became directly related to the customers because they are oftentimes the one that are the best to talk about the customers and talk to the customers. And the other functions became further away from the client. But that's not so good because the idea is that this should not be just the marketer directly affecting the customers, but everyone should be affecting the customers. So then they reversed it by putting all their functions beside marketing, which is pushing the function of production and HR and finance, accounting and all that, and legal and all these functions towards the customers. And so all of these are different philosophy of running your business. So you could be selling to a consumer market. A consumer is someone that buys the product for themselves. A business market, someone that buys the product in order to turn it into another So there's a B2C and the B2B, the global market, so it's international, or maybe you could sell for non-profit organization or governments. There's many different type of markets. What is the need? A need is the basic human requirements, such as you want to drink, you want to eat, you want to sleep, you want clothing, you want to feel safe. So as marketers, what we do is we satisfy those needs. The need is different than the want. The want is your culture, your society. So you want to, you need to drink, but you may want to drink Coke versus you may want to drink Pepsi versus you may want to drink Gatorade. What dictates what you drink is the culture. It's essentially what you've been somewhat trained by the marketers to drink. At the end, everybody needs to drink. Everybody needs to sleep. How do you sleep? How do you eat? How do you dress? What you believe is very much influenced by what the marketing and the culture and the values of your culture have been pushing you towards. Demand is the want, which are backed by the ability to pay. So everybody may want gold, but not everybody has gold. So demand is, can you afford what you want? The type of needs is the needs that you know that you're thirsty. There is the need that everybody has, the real need. The unstated need is the one that you don't know. You may not realize that you want something that you just don't realize that you want. Maybe you want life insurance, but you don't realize that that's what you want. Then there's the need that you're really dreaming of, and then there's some sort of hidden secret dream that you may have. So all of are these different needs. What's the target? The target is the exact customers that you're thinking that your product is going to go and be the most likely to satisfy. So you can't target everyone. The target is the exact prospect that you want to sell, which you want to turn into a customer or a client. So the core marketing concept is that someone needs to buy your product. This person will want to buy your product because of a number of things. Maybe because they like the price, maybe they like the benefits, maybe they like the image, maybe they like the brand, maybe they like the where it's sold, maybe they like who's buying it, the type of people, the stereotype people who are buying it. So that's sort of the concept of positioning. As you will see, we'll talk about it many times. It's not that simple, but it's very interesting and very important. And then segmentation is, how do you break your customers? What are the main characteristics of your customers? Is it their age? Is it where do they live? Is it their income? And that's the concept of segmentation. What's a value proposition? It's a set of benefits that satisfy those needs. Offerings, a combination of products, services, information, and experiences. And the brand is the known source of what you're selling, also called as the trademark. So the marketing channels are very important. And so you need to think about which channels are you using in order to communicate? Are you using the radio? Are you using printed material? Are you using TikTok? Are you using magazines? Which magazines are you using? So that's important. Also, how are you distributing your product? Are you self-distributing? Are you selling from your own websites, from other people's websites? Are you selling using importer, distributors, and wholesalers? Who is in charge of your product, and how much training do you offer to these different channels in order to incentivize the sales of your product? And then how much services are you offering? So do you have a number where people call? Is it available on the weekend? How much return do you have? How much people can try the product? So you have to think about the service. Obviously, the more services you offer, the better, but it's also expensive, and therefore the price of the product may go higher. So you think about a gas station. How many gas stations there is someone that puts the gas in your car? Not too many, because most people don't want to pay the extra cost for having someone put the gas in the car. But there may be things that you want someone else to do. So services are either pluses and minuses, but the idea is not to have as much services as possible, but the exact amount of services that people will see as a benefit and maybe not even pay for it. It's added value. So paid media is our key type of communication channels. Maybe you have your own media, so your own website, and then earned media is what you get from satisfying the customers who are eventually telling others about the quality of your product. Impressions is the number of times people see your messages, and engagement is how many times people actually interact with your impressions or the times that you are communicating to them. So the value is the difference between what people pay and what people get, versus the satisfaction is the difference between what people get and what they wanted to get. So I expect this concert to generate this amount of emotions, and I go to the concert and I was born. I didn't dance that much. I dance half of the time, that's good enough. I dance 10% of the time, that's not good enough. And so you all time measuring to be sure that what you expected is met, that's your satisfaction, versus what I'm paying and what I'm getting. So the value is measured at the time of purchase versus the satisfaction is measured after the purchase. So the focus of marketing is to understand people perceptions. What do they expect to get with the product? And what do they expect to perceive when they are actually evaluating, assessing the product? So that's very important. Do not give what you think is good for people. Give people what they are expected to feel and see when they are using the product. Now, and the product means could be a good, a services, an event, a location, a person, an idea, and all that. So it's this: what is the perception? So people are very influenced with what they see and how they feel, and that may be more important than what the product really does. That's what this says. So the value might be in perception. So it's like I'm going to buy. I have all kinds of water bottle to buy. Which one am I going to buy? Well, I could buy the cheapest one. I could buy the one that I see everyone buying, or I could be buying the one that looks like it's the better one. So the one with the better label, the one with the tallest bottle. And so this perception is important because it may be wrong. The best water may not be the one that is the tallest bottle, but people may perceive that taller bottle are better water. Customer orientation is understanding the customer. So you give them what they want. It seems very obvious, but a lot of businesses have a hard time. And I would say it's more than 50% have a hard time because they give the customers what they want to give the customers versus understanding that the customer is the one that decides what they want. So looking at a channel of distribution, you have to understand the concept of the supply chain. And there's value in the supply chain is what everyone does in order to build the quality of the product for the satisfaction of the final buyer. So we're looking at coffee. What's important is that the coffee be good, but it's important that people perceive that this coffee is good. So where is it from? The country of origin effect has an impact. Where it's roasted, often how many times was it roasted? What machine was used to roast it? Did we wash it? Not wash it? Did we package it this way? The packaging may be one of the reasons why people buy a product. So every element has an impact on the supply chain, and the suppliers that you're using have an impact on that. So the competition is who are the other substitute products that people may be buying if not buying a product. And so when you analyze the competition, you're looking at the direct and indirect competition. So two car manufacturers are direct competition, but the train or electric bicycle might be competitors, or the bus, the city bus may be a competitor, but it's an indirect competitor to several cars brand manufacturers. So you have to think about this direct and indirect. It seems to be trivial to say that, but when you're doing research on your clients, you have to think about this and see the evolution of how people see competition as well. So the environment is a very important component. And so trying to understand who are producing and who's distributing and who are the distributors and who are the best, what are the best way of communicating is very important. The broad environment is what's called the macro environment. So the macro environment is made of the people who live in the environment, the economy, the type of culture you have, the resources, the advance in technology, and the legal and political environment. So looking at the environment, you can identify opportunities. So that's something that we're going to talk easily more than 100 times, this concept of environment. Brandless is an example of a brand, of a distributor that is using a concept by saying, you know, people don't want to buy brands sometimes because they don't want to pay extra for the fact that they are buying a brand that requires a lot of advertising and messages in order to sustain this brand. So brandless is creating some non-branded products because people may want the no frills of those branded and straight go to what they're buying. It's just a concept. it doesn't apply to everyone, but it will apply to a specific target. So not all customers will like that, but specific target will like this, and they would like to get the best product they can without having to pay for the extra um, media money that is spent by that brand in order to be perceived as better. So I think, in fact, oftentimes the most powerful brand are oftentimes not the best product because you have to pay for all the advertising, all the communication that those brands are doing, and also all the support that this brand is putting into the market. Oftentimes they are using influencers, they're using celebrities. So you're buying really the fact that you are believing that this brand is very much supported by a celebrity, but you're paying the salary for the celebrity, and the product down the road can be just the same. So there's brands that are low quality, there's brands that are very high quality, but not a huge reputation, or at least not extremely popular brand. And then you have very, very popular brands that are very weak quality, and then you have popular brands that are very good quality. But most of the time, customers don't realize all the very different facets of what they can get from a product, being the product where you're buying the product, plus all the marketing and product that you're buying, very little marketing. So it's funny because I'm talking about the power of marketing and I'm advocating for the use of more and more marketing, but at the same time, I'm saying be careful because the more marketing there is, the more likely you will buy this brand, but that doesn't mean that you're buying the best one. So marketing is facing some big reality and changes. So technology is the number one, the biggest change because technology is changing the way people buy. Globalization is also very important because oftentimes those brands are trying to sell it in multiple markets and not really making adjustments. So they're making sort of this stereotype international brand. But at the same time, if you're a domestic brand, you need to worry about selling it in other markets. And that's what happens. So the brands also are changing. The brands are becoming sometimes different, and maybe in their own domestic market where the brand was originally from, they may not like it as much because it's changing in order to please this international market. So there's a big standardization, which means that the product may not look as German and American or French or English or Italian because they're starting to try to be sort of not flagged coming from a specific country and flagged as going for a specific group of customers, but widening the customers base. So social responsibility is also that you're not, you need to be a citizen of the world and have an understanding that you may have a negative impact. And so how you're running your business, how you're marketing your products may have a negative impact and you want to be socially responsible. So these are the three big forces affecting marketing. Dramatically change marketplace. So this is sort of something I'm repeating, is that the consumers are very much changing. The consumers became a big actor in the consumption and they are more involved using technology in order to make decisions. And they're using, instead of using the traditional media, they are increasingly using social media. And there's an effect of generation with this in order to learn and make decisions and eventually buy and eventually share information. So the new consumers are interacting with the companies directly. The new consumers are also aware of the marketing, and eventually they try to stay away from the traditional marketing, and they are trying to use more direct ways to find information. So they will try to buy directly from the producers as well. So the companies have, in the 90s, embraced the concept of the internet in order to be able to talk to the customers by offering very tailored type of products, a more specific type of products with the customers. And so they use the technology of the internet. They use the fact that people can interact and connect with them directly. They give them more choices. And this is even more improved by the applications that you can get now on your phone. They also collect information on the customers in order to learn more about them and also better anticipate what they're going to want in the future, and also give them better offers by knowing what they bought in the past. By learning their trends, they are able to offer them more specific products instead of all the products, hoping that there's one that they're going to like. This new technology also allows for a quicker, faster interaction and relationships. It's going to allow also to be more specific to the customers. So it's more efficient, but oftentimes it's also becoming more intrusive So there comes an ethical and moral issue as well of the privacy and how much should you interact with the customers and collect information and use this information to learn more of the customers in order to constantly give them offers. Um, at the end, the idea is to increase the satisfaction of the customers. So you want to be cost effective, but at the same time, you want to be more competitive. So for the businesses, the use of technology allows you to be more efficient and more cost effective and generate more profit. So this is very influenced by the fact that traditionally you relied for the communication with specific media that you didn't have control. Now you have more opportunity to have control over the channel of communication. And you have more control over the channel of distribution, because distribution is a specific job, communication is a specific job, and with the use of new technology, these jobs have been made easier and more automatized and digitalized as well, which are less costly to implement and operate. So the competition is becoming tricky in the sense that there's a bigger brand that also use all of this technology. There is the fact that there is a private brand, meaning that the distributors, which used to only distribute, now also own the brand. So the consumers are buying brands that comes from the distributors. Just an example, they go to Costco and then they buy Kirkland brand. Kirkland brand is a brand that belongs to the Costco, the distributor, but at the same time is a brand that is not made by the distributor. It's a brand that is made by a manufacturer, who is someone that is manufacturing a brand that may be for sale in by the retailer, but at the same time you don't know. So you don't know really the real quality, but you know the reputation of the distributor, and eventually you trust this reputation of the distributor to also transfer to the brand that you're buying with the brand name of the distributors. There's all kinds of deregulations and also like the post office that has to compete against the private brands and becoming more looking like a private brand as well in order to keep the competition going. So it is important to use marketing. It is important to understand how much marketing you should use. You should be responsible in your use of the marketing, but you should market what you're selling, but you should also market the organization, because that helps your staff be more involved, be more proud of the business that they're working on, be more motivated, and also eventually you build some corporate equity and you develop some social responsibility that makes you a brand that is more trustworthy, like Patagonia, for example. So you are talking about marketing, but when you talk about marketing, you don't focus just on creating a product and selling it. You need to think about the production. So you can't be creating things that are not going to be easy to produce and eventually becomes a problem. So maybe as a marketer, you want to, I give you an example, a bottle that is really tall, but if you produce a very tall bottle, customers are going to like it because they're going to perceive it to be more volume, when in fact it's the same volume, but with this tall bottle, maybe it won't go inside the fridge, maybe it won't go inside the bar. So then you're creating a problem. And maybe creating this new bottle requires a lot of new tools that you will have to invest in. So marketers could not be people that are just in a phantasm and dreaming of things that makes everyone in the business complicated and the life of the customers from a practical point of view complicated. So production is very important. So there is the product as well. So you don't want to be a marketer who's in love with the product, because if you're in love with the product, then you're not thinking about the customers. You're trying to make this amazing best product from the marketing engineer point of view, but the point of view that matters the most are the consumers. So these biases that the marketers have are biases that you find oftentimes in businesses, where they have businesses that they think the most important is to produce as much as possible for the lowest cost, to make the best product in the world, and that's all that matters. All of these have an impact on the success of the business. But if these are the main focus, they become a problem. And selling is a big problem. That's something I see. There's some businesses, they think selling is not as important, and the most important is to have the best product, and it will sell itself. That's not true. It may happen, but it's not sustainable. So You don't want to be a business that only you worry about the salespeople and selling, and every day the numbers needs to be better than the day before, and that's how you judge the quality of a business. You also want to think in terms of marketing, the long-term building of the reputation and the brand image of your business. So if you investing in something and you want to get your return on investment after a year and sell the business after 2 years, you may be interested in the best production product and selling it, sell, and then sell the business and cash the money and walk away. But if you are in there for the long run, this is when you develop this marketing orientation, because in the marketing orientation, a very important component is building a relationship. When you build a relationship, this protects you from mistakes. Businesses make mistakes, things happen that you may not be responsible. But if you build a relationship, the customers will see that you did not do anything consciously, that they will give you the benefit of the doubt. So every business at one time is in a situation where they look like they did something wrong. If you have the trust of your customers, if they see that you're building this marketing to be known and to be building this promise towards satisfaction, they will give you more time to correct mistakes. And also they will probably more likely jump on a new product because they'll trust that this new product is better than the previous product. But if they don't trust you, they're going to wait and see. So you need to market internally to your staff. You need to integrate the marketing message, which means that your marketing message should be transparent. It should be balanced. Whatever your price is should be connected to the quality. So if you have a product that is supposedly the highest quality, but your price is middle of the range, it's not going to make any sense. So you have to have a price which connects with which distribution network that you use, with the quality of your product and the message that you're sending. So the performance marketing is this idea that you need to foster success and growth, but at the same time, you can't just do it too quick, because you have to build this brand and you have to build this reputation. At the same time, you have to make sure that you have a positive impact on your environment, and that you're respecting the law and the other stakeholders, the public stakeholders that are seeing that you're a reputable company that doesn't think just of yourself, but you very much try to elevate the community. Relationship marketing, which connects to all of this, is the idea that you want the customers to be satisfied. You want the customers to come back. And in fact, you want to have this relationship with the customers that keeps growing, because you want the customers to generate enough word of mouth that eventually they become the advocate of your business and they get more people to want to get this. So the more you invest in the environment and the society, the more you will become trusted, the more they will want to spend money in your business. There's some customers that are just looking at the price. The cheapest one is the best one. So I'm not saying everyone is going to believe in this, but the majority of people respect businesses because they see respectable businesses trying to do the best for their community, trying to build innovation and satisfaction. They will tend to want to go after these businesses. This seems very sort of unpractical and philosophical, but that's, again, this class is not the class for the whole semester, but it's the foundation of all the different principles that I want you to have and think, because there is a sincerity and authenticity that you want to reach in business. And it's very difficult to try to be what you cannot be. It's very important to try to be exactly what you want to be. And then when you reach this point of sincerity, then naturally you become successful. So it's not overnight. Oftentimes, it takes more time when you are sincere than when you are manipulative by pretending to be what they want. But eventually, you cannot be what they don't want, what the customer wants, because that's not going to work. But it's first very important to understand what they want, then to understand your voice, the voice of your business, and eventually play within the voice of what your business is for the right customers. So trying to be who you are for a group of customers that care for who you are, that's the best thing. So it's a matching. All relationships are about matching. And so business and marketing is about matching the market with your product and with this longevity and long-term objectives that you have. So the relationship marketing is therefore about having customers, understanding these customers, satisfying your customers, making sure your employees are also employees that want to satisfy these customers and want to be part of this organization whose objective is to satisfy them, but them wanting to satisfy the customers and caring also for the customers. They may be customers. And so it's important that because you will get a big involvement from them and more participation and more goodwill from your employees when they see the big picture and they see the sincerity. So you eventually develop this relationship because you want marketing to be minimized. Marketing is expensive. So the more you use the traditional sales promotion marketing, the more that's going to cost you money. But the more your marketing is about getting more people involved, more people to embrace, more people to care. So in a way, it's almost like social media. What you want millions of people to view. You want views or you want comments. And what you want is you want comments. You want people to get involved. It's better to have 1,000 comments than 100,000 views because the comments are from the people that really care. Here's the idea of this relationship marketing is make sure that they care. So integrated marketing communication, I talked about it just before, is this idea that you need to have everything that communicates about your business being consistent. And so you want the before, during, and after. And I use this picture of those MMA fighter because I thought this was kind of interesting. And this may not be for everybody because there's some people that may want just to see the fight, but there may be people that want to know the story of these people to get more engaged. So it's like you see the story of this individual, you see this person in their family, you see them playing poker, you see them going to the beach, you see them with their friends, you see them, cooking and all this, and then you see them fight, and you're instead of just looking at two people that fight, is you build some kind of connection with this person prior to this, and therefore you're more engaged in looking at the fight. So you would imagine that this makes it better. And so it's this integration that talks about just the fight is not as interesting as if you know who is this person and you've developed some kind of connections. But then I think it's very interesting is if there could be an after fight where you see this person going to the hospital and being fixed, and you see the good things and the bad things that happen to them after the fight, and the reality of the real life of a fighter after this. And you can even see these two people that were fighting actually sort of being friends and seeing this. I think this complete view of the fight, the before the fight and the after the fight, makes the UFC fight or the whatever MMA type of fight much more interesting than just looking at one fight and then there's another fight and then there's another fight and then there's another fight. And so the integrated marketing, it's like this, is what you have to think is about how can you build more attachment, more connections with the customers, that they see that there's an integration, that it's not just a brand that's trying to push you to buy their products, but it's just like you, it's people having some good ideas and wanting people to be more excited about your ideas. So internal marketing is very much about having this relationship with your staff in order to get them to be the best representative to talk to the customers, because there is, again, this voice, this sincerity. Okay, so this is a point that I mentioned before, where when you talk about marketing is you have key concepts. And so one major key concept are what's called the marketing mix. And the marketing mix is also named the 4 Ps. So there are 4 P that are very much the recipe, the ingredients that you have to use in order to unfold your plans, your marketing plans, in order to implement your marketing tactics and your marketing strategies. So the product is what you will be selling, which has a certain amount of quality, design features, it has a name, it has a packaging, it has benefits, dimensions, different features. The price. So there's different prices, there's prices for different times, for different type of customers. There's the pricing at the beginning, the pricing during different seasons, different days. And so the pricing for getting people excited, pricing if they buy several. Pricing is very important. pricing depending on your strategy and so forth. And then you have the promotion, which should be called a communication. So how do you communicate, what messages, what channels do you use in order to talk about your product? And then you have the place, which should be distribution. But if they did product, price, communication, and distribution, it would be PPCD. So it's really harder to remember. So they said the 4 Ps. So you have to be careful. Promotion is communication and place is distribution. So distribution is about the logistics, the channel of distribution, the different intermediaries that you're using, what assortments do you have, keeping your inventory, your stocks, and transportation and all of this. So the 4 Ps is very important. And as you can see by looking at all of these, you can see all the different activities that you have within marketing, which are very wide in scope. So it's very likely, extremely likely, that many of you will be working in some of the functions. So some of you may be working in pure marketing. Everything you do has to do with all of these. And some of you may be doing some of these and other things that have nothing to do. So you could be doing accounting and channel assortments. Therefore, you're doing some marketing. So it is very, very likely that you will be doing some marketing. So there's the 4 Ps. These are the most common, the 101 of what you should be doing. But there's other Ps that are also offered in complement, in addition to the 4 Ps. There's the P of people. When you marketing, you also need to think about your staff. The processes is the different steps and the different actions and the flow charts and who does what and when. The programs is you thinking about the plans and the activities and the different seasons and the different plans that you will have through the seasons and the different campaigns and all this that you would have. And then the performances, there should be a way of monitoring all of this and trying to look at what was more effective and what was less effective in order to change the program and the processes, and therefore maybe adapt the product, adapt the price, adapt the distribution, or adapt the communication. So the marketing management task is therefore to develop different strategies and plans. So we'll talk about the difference between what's a strategy and what's a tactic. It's to understand the market, the different players in the market, with the main player being the customers and another big player being the competitors. And connecting with the customers, connecting with them by collecting information, by knowing why do they buy, why they don't buy, and eventually understanding how much do they know about your brand and what is the equity within your brand. Is it the fact that they know your brand? Is it the fact that they care for your brand, that they love your brand? Is it the fact that they think it's a low, high, medium qualities? Is it the brand that they recommend? So what kind of equity does your brand have? Creating value, so you want them to buy the product and see that what they spend is inferior to what they're getting. You want to make sure that you use the best channel. So the best channels is very important. The more intermediaries, the more people are involved in your channels, the more expensive your product's going to be, and the more services you're going to have. But that has a cost, and eventually you want to make sure that the value, the price that they pay is based on the benefits that they want to get. So delivering value is understanding the cost associating with this delivery. So you want to have the minimum delivery costs, but at the same time, you want to have the right amount. So it's a balance. Communicating the value is therefore, what is the point? You can't communicate too many things. The product has multiple values, and there's a hierarchy of values. Should you communicate the top 3 values, or should you focus on just one? And more importantly, is you want to have growth. How much growth do you want? That's important. But the most important is you want to make sure that you have a continuous growth. So now when you're buying a product, there's different values. There's the value from the product, the services, the value from the people that you're meeting, that you're gaining information from, that you're gaining knowledge from, and the value from the reputation and the image, this transfer of image. Maybe you're buying a brand that has some prestige that is famous, and by buying this, suddenly the name of the brand is going to sort of improve your prestige. So that's the value that you may get. More beside the features and the functional benefits, there's some sort of a social benefit. Then the total cost. So the most obvious is the money you spent, the time that you spent, the energy. So the energy is that there's some products that are harder to use because it requires knowledge and maybe education. And so there's an energy cost. And then the psychic cost is, does it fit with my social class? Does it fit with my generation? Does it fit with my religion? And you may be buying a product that maybe goes against what your community thinks. And because it has some negative attachment, maybe it's not perceived as the right thing to do. And therefore, there is also a cost in doing what's expected, what's the norm in your society. So marketing creates needs. Marketing makes people buy things. Is this true? The answer is no. Marketing does not create needs. Needs that already exist. You need to drink. You need to sleep. You need to be loved by others. You need to feel that they think you're good. You need to eat. All of these, they already exist. What marketing does is it makes people want what you have to sell in order to satisfy those needs. So do people need sport drinks? People don't need sport drinks. Very few people need sport drinks. Yet the sport drinks have a huge amount of sales and they're growing tremendously. So why do people buy them? Because they think they need it. Because they think it does something. And therefore they are buying it because it makes them feel that they are doing the right thing, makes them feel better, even though they don't really know, because it has electrolyte. Most people don't even know what's electrolyte, but electrolyte looks scientific, and therefore they hear this word and they say, yeah, I think I need electrolyte. I'm doing sport, I need electrolyte. Okay, so the reality is there's very few people that need electrolyte. And in fact, if they needed electrolyte, it is very possible that they would not be drinking the brand that they are drinking now, that comes from a mega massive conglomeration, organization, corporation that is for sure not making a product that is helping those sports people. So there's a lot of fake, but it's a lot of feel good. So people buy the appearances, people buy the perception. So for a marketing person, what's very important is to therefore reverse engineer their perceptions and then make sure that the product has the perceptions that people are hoping to get from the product. They essentially make them want the product and they make them satisfied because they've hit the button that was very important for them. So what is marketing? And this, once again, is the delivery, so the process of the channel of distribution of customers. So it's the customer is the center of satisfaction, which means it's something that makes them want to come back because they have their needs satisfied. What they expected is met. At profits, because even if you're a non-profit organization, you need to make some profit because you need to have some expenses. And long term, in the sense that you're not trying to take advantage of people, but you're building this relationship. So the marketing environment, and this is a repeat of what I said before, but I'm going to repeat this many, many times throughout this class, is the fact that there's the micro environment. The micro is the pink section. And then you have the macro environment, the yellow section. The pink section is directly affecting the company. The yellow section is indirectly because the yellow section is affecting the pink and the pink is affecting the blue, the company. So there's a direct and an indirect. But it's hard to say which one is the most important, but there's always a hierarchy. And here, if there was a hierarchy, I would say the most important, without doubt, is the customers. So it's inside the micro environment. And it makes sense that the most important be the micro because it's the one that is directly connected. But economical trends is very important. I mean, if people have no money, that's indirect, but it's an indirect that makes a huge impact on people consumption. So understanding the environment is not something that you do because it's inside a class quiz or because it sounds intelligent and clever and all these different things and it's inside textbook. It's because this is the mine, sort of the gold mine, looking in your environment where you would find changes that you can take advantage of as of what we call opportunities. So the opportunities is a very important concept. It's one of the, let's say, 5 most important concepts that you have to understand in order to be successful in business, because it's the O of opportunity within the SWOT analysis. So the SWOT analysis, and I'm just going to briefly talk about it. I'll probably talk about this SWOT analysis in 4 or 5 classes. So it's just the first time I start talking about it, but it's the fact that there's 2 components, the S and the W, component 1, made of 2, and then O and T, component, so it's A, 1 and 2, A, S, A, O, and then B, O, B, T. So there's 2 sections. SW is internal, so it's the strengths and weaknesses of your company. But it's internal, you have some control over it, you can improve it, you can improve your strengths, you can definitely look at improving your weaknesses. The weaknesses is the things the company is not so good at. The strengths are the things that the company is good at, compared to what the customer wants, compared to your competitors. There's S's and weaknesses. Then the O and T is you have no control over this. So it's not internal of the company, it's external. So the opportunity is those variables, conditions, factors, which are in the environment that you have no control over and that you would want to take advantage of. Even more important, if you have the strength to take advantage of it. So opportunities are what the business tries to take advantage of. And the threats are therefore mostly the competitors. And that's number 1 threat, but also government regulations can be a threat. So government regulation that change could become an opportunity. As a company, you should not be able to control environment regulations, even though there's situations where we heard in ways where the companies have control government regulation, but normally it's external. You don't know. Or the economy, you don't control the economy, or you don't control the natural resources. And so these become, there's more natural resources, that's an opportunity. There's less natural resources, that's a threat. So this requires 2-3 weeks. Some people take 2 months to understand this, but this is the first pillar that you have to learn in order to move to the second one. It's not possible to do well on all the different steps without understanding this, that there's internal strengths and weaknesses and external opportunities and threats.
So something has to start, and I believe probably starting with the environment and ending with research makes the most sense. Because if I was talking about research first, you would learn about something but in a very abstract way, versus now I'm going to talk about the environment and how important it is, and the importance of the environment is eventually to come up with some ideas and strategies. But then to come up with good ideas and strategies, you need a good analysis of the environment, and to do a good analysis of the environment, you need to do good research. So that's sort of how I'm going to try to dial this circle from the environment to the strategies to research, and then looping back the research is therefore to research the environment to come up with good strategies and so forth. So this is my way of understanding it. There's hundreds of textbooks that are the most popular, and they all use the same concept at the beginning of their textbooks, but in a different order. And because it's a textbook, maybe they don't have the opportunity, because it's not live like I'm doing right now, to cover these by giving you the overlaps. But the overlaps is what's interesting. The overlaps is the reality. So the thing that I care the most, and as I've started teaching in 95, my trajectory has been trying to become more and more realistic for the students, versus a professor who's very textbook literate and try to engage the students in becoming a textbook person. If you're doing business, if you're doing something practical, you got to be much more realistic, and that's very much what I will try to inject in this class. So what is marketing? If there was one word that replaced marketing, it would be the word satisfaction. Marketing is really the function inside the business that is the one that cares the most about the customers. Everybody should care about the customers, but the marketer is the one probably that care the most, because their function is to constantly and more satisfy the customer. Okay, so you want to do this, but if you keep focusing on satisfying the customers, what you do is you sort of lose the sight of profit. You also want to make sure that you make some money so you can keep satisfying the customers. Every business is making profit, or at least every business that continue surviving is making profit. Some may not be making profits, but they are costing the owner or the society money, and that's wrong. Businesses should be made profitable, and that shows that they are satisfying someone, and that then you do what you want with the profit, but usually the profit to keep the satisfaction is really invested in the customer for their satisfaction in order to have a long-term relationship, which means that you're not predatory. You're not trying to make profit and become as rich as you can, as fast as you can, but because in the long term, you're building a relationship with the customers. And what's very important is that there is a relationship. So to do this is you need to be oriented towards the customers. Who is the boss? The customers. What do I satisfy? Their needs. What are needs? Needs are innate, which means that you have the needs. You cannot create needs. You have the needs to drink. Then the marketer sells a different kind of drink, but they are focusing on the need of thirst. You selling, I don't know, braking system because people want to brake faster and faster, but you're selling safety. So every time you sell something, you satisfy a need. You sell entertainment. So what's the need? What is the need of music? It's entertainment. What is the need that you satisfy? Anyone knows what the need they're satisfying?
I would say that music can satisfy kind of like enjoyment or comfort in a way.
Yes, exactly. So enjoyment, there could be personal enjoyment, or there could be a group enjoyment. Like you're going you're listening to music by yourself, driving in your car, you by yourself, it's not a group thing. But you're going to a concert, maybe with several people. So there is an element which is personal, and there's an element which is social. Maybe you're making specific friends that like this kind of music. Okay, so there's all kinds of needs that you're satisfying. Maybe you said comfort. Maybe in music, there is elements of comfort in the sense that there is the thing that you've listened, the thing that your family have listened, and your brother and sister have listened, the thing that are from your generation. There is definitely a generation type of sound and so forth. So there's some comfort. So there's multiple needs that you satisfy, but you can't think of, you have to think about the origin of the need again. You know, like a concert is a social part of it, a social need. So you have to think about the elements that can satisfy people more with this element of social. So you have to think about what you provide, which is the want, and what need that you satisfy. So just going back to the thing that everybody understands, it's simple. Is Coca-Cola, what do they provide? They provide a sweet, carbonated, flavored drink. So that's the description. The need is thirst. The want is Coke is cool. Coke is fun. Coke is easy. Coke is convenient. Coke is hype. So that's what the want is. If they stop advertising, Coke is not going to be as hype. Something else is going to be hype, which is going to advertise more. So you have to constantly work on the want, which is what marketers do, and make sure that you satisfy the needs, which the marketers don't create needs. Then you have this element of satisfaction, which is the difference between what people expect and what people received. So you expect not to be thirsty after drinking a Coke, and you drink a Coke and you're not thirsty anymore. So it works. The value is how much does it cost? What are the benefits? So it's a balance. It's like you have two sides. You have how much do I spend and how much benefits. Not enough benefits. More benefits, it's equal. More benefits than what I spend, that's even better because people buy it. So the value is measured at the time of purchase versus the satisfaction. It's measured post-purchase. So people confuse them. You could say value before you buy, value after you buy. Well, value after you buy, it's not called value after you buy, it's called satisfaction. Oh, okay. So value is before I buy and satisfaction is after I buy. Exactly. Can marketer create needs? Can they make people buy things? Well, yeah, they can make people buy things, but they don't create needs. They create wants. They make people want brands. People don't have a need for a brand, but they have a want for a brand. Okay, so that's very, very important. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, Professor, I had a question.
Of course.
This might be premature. We might be getting to it.
Yes,
but I was
no worries.
curious to know if, say that a company has a marketing strategy that works for them when they first start, but then as time goes on, it becomes a negative in the society that it's in. Is something that we're going to figure out is how to rebrand a company if their image was once seen as glamorous is now kind of archaic.
Oh yes, it's called positioning, repositioning. And so it's a little prematurate because we'll talk about this maybe in 4 weeks. But what happens is, and that's what you're going to do for Andre James, is you're going to have to think about his image and his benefits for a year, for the next year, for the next 12 months, which won't be the same, most likely not be the same, the 12 months that will follow and the next 12 months. So that's why you have to envision where he needs to be in 5 years. But then you're going to have to envision the various benefits he's going to offer in order to get there. And they won't be the same for the next 12 or 2 years that they will be in 5 years. Is you have to adapt yourself. And the reason you adapt is because you don't go after the same customers. So since you're satisfying them, you have to think about who can I satisfy right now as where I am right now. And I'm sure you all went to see, to look at his social media. I mean, it's pretty close to zero, right? I mean, we all struggled getting information. I actually struggled getting information myself. And I've been looking for information and I've been asking a lot of people to give me information and nobody has had much. And eventually you got the announcement, we got some information. So of all the things, there's a huge issue of information on the artist. People think that they consume what they want. But the reality, 99.99999% of the time, people consume what they have been packaged, brainwashed to consume. There's very little, and what I'm saying to you right now is sort of insulting because I'm saying, it looks like I'm targeting you that you don't do anything that you want, but I'm not picking on you specifically. I'm just saying in general. In general, we all have a misperception of how much we have control of what we consume. We do. And so, because we don't realize, I do realize because it's my business, it's my life, how much marketing is influencing me and everybody else, because that's what I do. But most people don't know. They're just victim of this powerful hand over everyone. And the more you know marketing, the less you can be a victim. But it's very, very difficult. And in fact, not only it's difficult, but I would say it's only been worse and worse. And social media has been the miracle dreamed by every marketer in order to even more control people's brain. It's going to be like if you were a marketer in the 70s and you said, what is my dream as a marketer is to be in people's hand 20 hours a day and them looking at me. And, you know, that's your dream. And everybody would say, like, forget about it. That's a dream. You just, well, in 2020, this essentially has been going on for lots of people. So there's a big control, and you have to plan how things unfolds. And as they unfolds, you adapt. And it's called positioning, repositioning. So thank you for your question. And eventually you will have a better, at the end of this class, your question will be fully answered, and you would have a very clear view on this, because when you do the next class, entrepreneurship, we will admit that this question you don't ask because it's so clear to you, and you will run with it normally and embrace it and enjoy it as an entrepreneur working on this idea of visualizing the future and paving it your own way with your own adaptation and your own moves and strategic decisions. That's really what it's about. And you can do this for any industry, and then you will do this for the music industry, and you will thrive, and you'll see, you know, it's like you'll see in front of you much more clearly. It's like the fog is going to dissipate, and then you're going to make your own moves, and it's going to be a turbo in your game. That's the idea.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. So now I'm going to give you my own little spiel, and you're going to have to go with it. But when you're in business, there is value that you offer, that you think is the value, and there's the value that the people perceive. What people perceive is not the same as what you perceive that you provide. So, even if we talk about the music industry, you know, there's a car called McLaren, but maybe you don't all know what's a McLaren. So there's also another car like Nissan, and these companies, what they do when they make the car is they have people that are specialized in audio, sound. They actually measure the sound of the door, the sound the door makes when you close the door, the sound, obviously, of the engine, the sound of the exhaust, the soundproof inside the car. So all of these sounds are being measured, and they're measuring it as an engineer based on what they think is good. But the engineer is not the buyer. They also need to know what the buyer wants. So they look for what the buyer wants in terms of the exhaust notes and the sound of the engine and the sound of the door. What's a good sound? What's a bad sound? And the consumer may be totally wrong. What they may think is a good sound for the engineer, that's a bad sound, but it doesn't matter. What you do is you make it the sound that the customer wants. Because if you do this, they will see value. If you do this, they will be satisfied. If they're satisfied, they keep coming back. So for a marketer, and I'm going to say 99% of the time, doing what the customer wants is the best thing you can do. In some situation, 1%, you can actually do something that the customer don't even know that that's what they want. But that's so very, very risky. I recommend it 1% of the time, 99% of the time is give them what they want. Okay, so that's very important. So now we have this gentleman, he's living alone, he drives a motorcycle. Then he gets a girlfriend, and they together, he gets a two-door. And then they get married, they get a sedan, and then they get kids, they buy a station wagon or a van. So there's this evolution. This person, you sold all of these different products, because with the time, their needs, their wants has evolved. And with the evolution based on their age or their marital status or their family status, it has evolved. So you adapt. So this is, I tell you all of this because everybody understands that. But that's very important to understand that with the evolution of the customer, you adapt. And in fact, here is just breakfast cereal. There's not such a thing as one type of breakfast cereal. There's multiple types of breakfast cereal with multiple names, with multiple flavors, with multiple benefits, more vitamin, more minerals, more this, more that, more flavors, a bigger lion, a smaller lion, a cow, a toucan. So there's many different cartoon character and so forth. Why? Why? It's because there's many customers and they don't all want the same thing. So you have to adapt. You have to say, who's my customer and what do they want? Well, we have a customer that doesn't like birds. Okay, so they don't like birds, so we're not going to have a bird cartoon. And what do they like is big animals. Okay, big animals, so we could do a lion. We can't do a lion because there's already a lot of lions. Can we do a cow? Well, yeah, they like the cow. And anyway, there's milk that go in the cereal, so we're going to take a cow. Let's see if they like the cow. They love the cow. Perfect. We'll take the cow. So what I'm trying to say is you have to adapt. This is the 101 because business marketing is about satisfaction. Pick one. Which one is the best? So I'm going to ask Aubrey Owell to tell us which one she thinks she would buy. Are you there? The first, so which one, the left or the right?
The left.
You buy the left. Why would you buy the left?
Because I'm a price sensitive customer, so I would definitely choose cheaper one.
Okay, so that makes sense. It's the perfect answer. Price sensitive customer will pick the cheapest one. But then it depends. Someone maybe will say, I would buy the right one because I really love to cook. So for me, it has to be the one that I can trust. The 1999, whenever I bought cheaper ones because I cook and I love cooking, it's my favorite thing, I was disappointed. I don't want to be disappointed. I want the one that I paid the right amount for the right things because I believe it's going to be better. So perceptions are very important. So that's what I'm trying to tell you is you sell value. And I keep telling you, sell value, sell value, sell value. However, it's not what you think is value, is what they perceive as value. And that's what's very interesting in marketing, is you sell people what they perceive. So if you're a singer and you make some song and the song goes boom, boom, chi-chi, boom, 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 chi-chi, boom, and you go, oh, that's beautiful. That's a perfect sound. Then you ask the customer and he goes, no, boom, boom, chi-chi. It should be boom, boom, chi-chi, boom, boom. Fine. We'll fix it. So then you're going to say, wow, this professor is telling us to make commercial music. I don't do commercial music. I'm an artist. I do my stuff. This is my gig. It's nobody else's gig than mine. Well, you should. But what I'm trying to say is not to water down, but to adjust to the customers. The closer you are to the customer, the closer you are to success. The further you are from what people want, the further you are from success. You know, there's very few things that succeed that are different from what people want. People buy what they want. But then you're going to say, but isn't that what marketing is about? Telling them what they want? Yeah, true. But the problem is that's a budget. The more you want to influence them, the more that's going to cost you. So if you can afford the Super Bowl, sell them what you want. Then they're going to buy it. If you put it in the Super Bowl, even if it's bad, even if they don't like it, they will eventually have heard enough of it that they will think that's what they want because it's repetition. That's why that's also possible. I don't deny it doesn't exist. But for most businesses, your budget is a reasonable budget, and therefore you have to focus on what you can do and what they want and who is it that they want, and then you give them what they want. And within a reasonable budget, you will generate success, and with this success, you will reinvest in your business in order to grow and eventually get more financial resources. And then you probably become in a position where you can start doing what you want and influence them because you have the power of influencing them. Someone had their hand up. Sorry, I didn't want to stop just at that moment, but they came up and down and disappeared. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. It was more just an observation, but you
No problem.
ended up going over it at the end.
Oh, I see.
Like, so as you age, I feel like, you know, when I was younger, I would go for the clearance, but now that I'm in a better financial position, we now look at things as like investments. So we do a lot of reviews and make sure that the purchase is going to be, you know, a good purchase and it's going to last us a while. So, you know, as I feel like as you evolve, as you said, like
Yes.
that your perception on what to buy changes.
Yes, so that's very true. You evolve because what happens is it's called experience, and with experience, purchase experience, you also know that things sometimes are too good to be true, and therefore they won't work. So you don't buy the 1999 because you're actually worried they won't work, and it has happened to you so many times that you don't want to take this chance. But the concept that mitigate that varies that, and you know, this is a class later, but I can speak about it right now. It's called involvement. So what happens is we have high involvement and low involvement product. So we can talk about tires, for example. That's a good example. Tires, you know, you don't drive much your car. Buying the most expensive tires maybe don't make much sense. You drive a lot your car. Buying the most expensive tires makes sense because you are involved. You're like a Uber driver or whatever. But then there's the personal factor, which is that some people, they always buy the cheapest product. They're not so brand sensitive. There's some other people that are extremely brand sensitive. They're not going to buy the most expensive product. They're going to buy the most sold brand. So the involvement is very important. There could be some people that don't drive that much, will still buy the most expensive brand because they have an involvement with their car. Their car is like themselves. It's like their body. So they need to have the most expensive thing. So they'll buy the expensive one, even though they only drive their car 1,000 miles a year. So it is complicated to explain all the facets of what we're looking at right now. And thank you for commenting. That's great. I really appreciate that. I couldn't see who was speaking. Who was speaking?
It was me,
Oh,
Shauna.
Shona. Oh, yes. Thank you, Shona, for jumping like that, because this is very true. It evolves. So there's so many facets that we could do an entire class just on all the facets of this. But I wanted to bring in here because I want you to understand what I call the reality of the game, of the business game. So business, simplify as is a game. It's a process and the way that you're going to be making some money. Then money comes from the matching of the customer wants, needs, and what you provide them and the quality of your execution. So meeting the opportunity is very, very important. So here's this very basic example that it's maybe not understood by anyone. But what happens is I use this simple thing about the engine size, which is based on the number of pistons, let's say. So you have 2 pistons, 4 pistons, 6 pistons, 8 pistons. And what happened is there is like a price range for a 4-cylinder versus a 6 and an 8. So I created those arrows, which is like the spectrum. It starts at 28, it goes to 59. It starts at 44, it goes to over 200. So you have this price range. So what you don't want to do is to sell, it's almost like selling a big house in a poor neighborhood. You want to sell a small house in a poor neighborhood and a big house in a rich neighborhood. That's like the ultimate thing, the end of the spectrum. So it's the same thing, is to make the most profit, what you're going to try to do is to sell the 4-cylinder at the top end of the 4-cylinder price, not at the bottom end. So the 4-cylinder is going to be right on overlapping to the 6-cylinder, and the 6-cylinder is going to right overlap to the 8-cylinder. So you want to be at the top range, not the bottom. But if you want to make even more money, what you do is you work on people perception. So then I invented this term, the V Grandmaster Turbo 8. So when you sell a vehicle and you call it the V Grandmaster Turbo 8, the people, and you're going to say there's people like that, there's lots of people like that, they won't realize that the name says 8, but that doesn't mean it's got 8-cylinder, but it just sounds good. And it says V because everything is V1, V2, V6, V8, right? So it's V. So V is the selling name. You said Grandmaster because people have a little bit of ego, so you need to give it a name that sounds good. And then you call it Turbo because hopefully there is one, otherwise that would be a definite lie. And then you call it number 8 because it's a lucky number. But you never said it was an 8-cylinder. But isn't it everyone's going to think it's an 8-cylinder because you call it the V Grand Turbo 8? Of course. That's why I do it. Wow, that's manipulative. Yeah, it is because people buy with their eyes, buys with what they guess. If it looks good, it must be good. And that's what people want. Yes.
Good morning,
Mike.
Professor.
Yes, good morning.
This reminds me of about 8 years ago, Volkswagen was marketing clean diesel. And
Yes.
they used to have an acronym called TDI, TDI clean diesel.
Yes.
And you know, I work on engines, and I was like curious, what does TDI stand for? Clearly D would stand for diesel, but I did so much research online, and I could not find any information on what TDI stood for. So that's when I realized they just put together some letters because it sounds cool. TDI clean diesel. And then the irony in this is Volkswagen got busted by the state of California.
Yes.
Because the electronic mechanism which would turn the diesel into a cleaner engine was only activated when it was under an emissions test.
Yes,
If
exactly.
it wasn't being tested, it would just be a gross polluter. So fascinating. This is total manipulation.
Yes, it's very interesting.
And I'll never buy a Volkswagen, ever.
Yeah, in fact, I believe it's one of, if not the largest penalty in history that a company received for
you're right.
misleading the consumers. For misleading the consumers. So it's amazing. First, it was amazing that they got caught. Then what was amazing is they were actually caught by a German, Californian law firm that caught them, that revealed this to the people. Then the government of California had to look into it. Then they went and did the research and all that. And then eventually Volkswagen lost for tens of billions of dollars.
Yep.
And they were the #1 company at the time. And then they went #2, I think, because of this. So you're right. And they were just manipulating all kinds of things. As a side note, what's interesting is that this same law firm is also right now going after a company called Pfizer and Moderna, the same company.
Wow.
For the vaccine. Yeah. So just as a side note, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's interesting. It's the same law firm. And it's a German, Californian law firm. And yeah, that's interesting. So
it's also interesting because culturally, you know, when I think of products from Germany, I think, wow, very trustworthy. They're
exactly
very environmentally conscious culture and nation.
Exactly.
If you've ever lived there, if you throw out your recyclable into the wrong can, there's people that'll jump out of the weeds to tell you that you're doing something wrong.
Exactly. Isn't that amazing? So then that's what it is. You think German, engineering, and then you have a set level of expectations,
right?
Of when you consume the product, and then you have bigger disappointment, as if it was maybe made in some other places,
right?
And so there is this expectation. So that's 100% what I'm trying to discuss is when you sell a product, there is perceived value, and you have to understand the perceived value in order to not disappoint the customers, but at the same time, in some way, to manipulate the customer in your way, in your direction. maybe today I shocked you a little bit with my examples, and eventually you will see that I will try to, it's like an accordion. It's going to be sometimes where I'm going to be very sort of looking like manipulative, and another time where I'm going to tell you, no, you need to embrace the society and you need to be a positive person in this society, but you don't want to be blind and you don't want to be innocent. And that's why I'm bringing all of this, because I want you to see all the spectrums and all the variations, and you really see the true power of marketing that is making people do things that they should not be doing because they are influencing them.